Good evening. The world of football tonight is not in a good place tonight because of what happened last night. Um, our channel last night gave you was supposed to give you full match commentary of the game between Bulgaria and England in the Euro 2020 qualifiers, for which we did. Unfortunately, though, we ended up covering another event off the field, which involved racism from the Bulgarian fans, who some of them left at half time, and we'll remind you of the timeline and my opinion of it. But there has been some news today, and first of all, we'll come to the resignation of the Bulgarian Football Union president later, but the football family and governments need to wage war now. Wait it, and UEFA have come out and said something now. The UEFA president Alexander Kefrin has come out and said that the football family and governments need to wage war on the races, because Monday's Euro qualifier between Bulgaria and England, of course, was halted twice due to racist abuse of England players, and we'll come to that in more detail later. Kefrin said that football associations can't solve the issues alone, and he goes on to say, only by working together in the name of decency and honour will we make progress, he said. Now, the European Football Governing Body has opened disciplinary proceedings against Bulgaria, charging them with racist behaviour. Well, that's not a surprise. And these include Nazi salutes and monkey chants, which was quite clearly saw on my monitor last night when I was commentating on the match of their fans. Now, the disruption of both teams' national anthems by opposing fans will also be investigated as well. So both the anthems were booed by both opposing fans. Monday night's scenes have widely been condemned by players and politicians alike, and the president of the Bulgaria Football Union actually resigned this afternoon after being told to quit by the country's Prime Minister. We'll come on to that a bit later. In a statement, Kefrin said that UEFA was committed to doing everything that it can to eliminate this disease from football. He goes on to say there were times not long ago where the football family thought that the scourge of racism was a distant memory, but unfortunately the last couple of years have taught us that such thinking was at best complacent. The rise of nationalism across the country has fueled some unacceptable behaviour and has taken it upon themselves to think that a football crowd is the right place to give voice to their appalling views. FIFA have also weighed in on the issue, as said by going forward it could extend worldwide any sanctions by UEFA or by any other continental confederations imposed for racist behaviour. Their president, Gianni Infantino, said that the sport needs to think more broadly on what we can do to fix this. He called racism in football an obnoxious disease that seems to be getting worse in some parts of the world, and he said life bans from stadiums should be handed to those found guilty. FIFA can then enforce such bans at a worldwide level. The British government has said it would write to UEFA to demand no action. That was the statement in full. UEFA have also gone on to charge Bulgaria for throwing objects and doing replays on a giant screen. England were actually charged for providing an insufficient number of stewards, and no doubt, which I think is very odd, because I thought England fans and the players from our country were very well behaved. So I'm very disappointed with FIFA on that one. Now, interestingly enough, after we come off air last night, Krajimir Balakov, the Bulgarian manager, said after the match he did not hear any racist chanting. Now, it does surprise me. And the Vasilevsky Stadium where we were at was already partially closed for the match after Bulgaria was sanctioned for more racist behaviours during previous qualifiers against the Kosovars and the Czech Republic. Now let's get a bit more on the coach from Krajimir Balakov. This is what he had to say after the match last night, and I'll quote what he said in full because I think it's important. Balakov said he would be truly sorry if it did turn out to be true, but he said there had been no such problems before. I personally did not hear the chanting, he said. I saw the referee stop the game, but I also have to say, this is him speaking, the behaviour was not only on behalf of the Bulgarian fans, but also the English fans who were whistling and shouting during the Bulgarian national anthems. During the second half, they used words against our fans, which I find unacceptable. I don't know where he's going with this. It goes on to say that it's not happened to us before, And his translator added that the disciplinary measures imposed on Bulgaria by UEFA were not because of racist chanting, because of a banner of an organisation which is not forbidden by Bulgarian law. We've had this problem ever since England were about to come to Bulgaria. And all I've heard for 3 weeks is people talking about anything else but football. I don't think this was the proper manner to prepare and play a football game. Now, if this turns out to be true, we are truly sorry, and we as the Bulgarian Football Union and the Bulgarian national team are working very hard. To be fair to Bulgaria, one of their players, Ivan Popov, was seen talking to a group of Bulgarian players, which I did point out during the commentary last night, prompting England striker Marcus Rashford to praise his courage, and I think that's good. Balkov said he was unaware that Popov spoke to some fans at half-time, adding it's because the fans were unhappy that the team was performing. I don't think so. Well, he was obviously watching a different game to what we were watching as well, and that was disappointing. And we'll give you the timeline for that in a second, because we had some breaking news this afternoon, and I was away doing other things this afternoon, and it came up because the Bulgarian football chief now has resigned. This is brilliant. Borisov Mikhailov has resigned as the Bulgarian Football Union president. This is a developing story. The Bulgarian Prime Minister Boko Bosov called for him to quit on Tuesday after the racist abuse of England players in the qualifier in Sofia. Now, Monday's match, which England won, of course, 6-0, was stopped twice because of racist behaviour by home fans, which included, as you know, Nazi salutes and monkey chants. The Bulgarian Football Union said it was a move that was a consequence of the recent tensions, but did not mention racism in their statement. The statement also said that the tensions had created an environment which is detrimental to Bulgarian football and the union itself. It added that Mikhailov expresses his firm readiness to continue helping in the development of Bulgarian football in every possible way. Earlier today, the Bulgarian Prime Minister strongly condemned the fans' behaviour and called on Mikhailov to resign immediately. After yesterday's shameful loss of the Bulgarian national team and given the bad results for our football, I ordered to end any relationship with the BFU, including financial relationships, until the withdrawal of Borisov Mikhailov from the post, he added. Before the game, Mikhailov, in fact, had complained to UEFA about unjust branding after the build-up was overshadowed by fears that England players could be subjected to abuse. Obviously, the stadium was already partially closed. Mikhailov, who's our former Reading goalkeeper, played at 3 World Cups for Bulgaria and had been a UEFA member of the UEFA Executive Committee since 2011. UEFA President anti-discriminatory body fair and anti-discriminatory body fair has called for Bulgaria to be expelled from the Euro 2020 qualifying campaign. I think that's good. And UEFA have also told the British press that in response to Monday's events would have to follow on from a disciplinary committee, which in turn has to wait for obviously the referee's report. Now, let me give you the full SP now of what happened last night in chronological order. Now, this was during the first half. We'd gone past the halfway mark and England were 2-0 up at this stage. Now, after making a pass in the first half, England defender Tyrone Mings glanced over his shoulder and could be heard calling over the touchline, "Did you hear that?" Shortly afterwards, in the 28th minute, the game was stopped. Striker Harry Kane was in conversation with referee Ivan Bibak on the halfway line while a stadium announcement was made to condemn the racist abuse and warn fans that the game could be abandoned if it continued. At the same time, England manager Gareth Southgate was talking to a number of his players. The game resumed, but was stopped again just before the break, half-time interval. Gareth Southgate and several England players were in discussions with match officials before the game was restarted for a second time. Then a group of Bulgarian supporters wearing black hooded tops, some wearing bandanas covering their faces, started to leave the stadium after the game was halted for a second time. There has been reports that some made racist gestures whilst heading towards the exits. After 6 minutes of added time at the end of the first half because of the delay, Bulgaria captain Ivan Popov was seen in a heated debate with a section of home supporters near the tunnel, while the rest of the players headed for the dressing rooms at half-time. Now, in line with UEFA's racism protocol, England did have the option to walk off the pitch, but they continued to play the full 90 minutes. And of course, Raheem Sterling and Marcus Rashford were also subject to abuse as well. And also the Bulgarian media have had plenty to say about this as well. I'm going to come on to my opinion in a minute. This is how the Bulgarian media reacted to this storm. One headline said, "Shame on the pitch in the stands of Vasil Levski," summed up the running theme. Shame because the Bulgarian side will thrash 6-0 at home and because of the racist abuse attracting bad publicity for the country. The popular news site Danovic described the event as a crushing defeat and a shameful stain on Bulgaria for racism discussed around the world. It also said that the whole football world is already talking about what happened in Sofia and expects a very heavy punishment from UEFA. Many outlets have carried reaction from Britain. The Sagan newspaper used a quote from The Guardian for its headline, "Bulgarian fans disgrace their country," and the Daily also cited other British media shaming Bulgaria fans. Many news sites, of course, pointed out that racism had been a topic of discussion before the game, alluding to previous incidents of racism in Bulgarian stadiums. The shame remains from the images from the stadium shown on British television that the visitors had grounds to protect. Their fears we have ahead of the match were fumed, wrote news site Club Z. The news website Facti noted that the visitors had been aware of the problem. The topic of racism was among the most discussed ahead of the match as the guests expressed concerns over the behaviour of our fans. Others appear to suggest that the incident was a self-fulfilled prophecy. Ahead of the game, the English discussed mainly the problem of racism and not increased tensions. I don't think that was the case. And it was also noted that the English fans allegedly booed the Bulgarian national anthem at the start of the game. This event had prompted bitter soul-searching amongst some Bulgarians in Facebook. Maria Saipova also cited have a problem with racism. Some know it and some are ashamed. They don't watch public attacks on innocent people, their visitors, just out of a desire to humiliate them just for sport. We neither realise we have a problem nor are we ashamed. But others have called for the authorities to take action against the offenders and solve the problem in the sport. Will there be measures against these people? Their faces everywhere. Interior Ministry. It would take 5 minutes to discover their identity, Sports Ministry. You cannot pour millions into sports every year to promote narcissism, racism and stupidity. Another journalist said, "Racism in Bulgaria. Terrible? I'm shocked." He went on to provide a background to this assertion that last night's incident shouldn't surprise anyone because it happened in a state where ruling parties openly express hatred for one ethnic group, and other news sites as well. But it is very, very, very concerning at the moment that we have this sort of thing, and I just hope that that things get, and I'll come to that in a minute. But England did make a powerful statement in Sofia as they delivered an eloquent response. And you've got to say, all the 11 players and the substitutes out there last night played really well. Southgate's side in the sporting context did need to answer to their first loss in 44 qualifiers against the Czech Republic. What they actually achieved went beyond this single game, will be of wider significance, and public tackled the scourge that still blights so many areas of society and the game itself. It wasn't a surprise that England's players were subjected to monkey chants and abuse, given the toxic build-up to this fixture and the shadow of racism already hanging over the sweeping, debilitated and Eastern European bowl that is the Levski Stadium, and it was a bad bowl. The 12 empty seats here did not merely reflect the desperately poor Bulgarian side, beaten 6-0 by England in this European qualifier, but also punishment inflicted for racist incidents against Kosovo and Czech Republic in recent games back in June. The pre-match subplot to this highly charged occasion was provided by the fine detail of UEFA's three-pronged protocol on racism, with Gareth Southgate briefing his players in the past week after they were abused in Montenegro in March and aware it could be enforced here. Sadly, it was invoked inside 28 minutes on a night as shameful as many long-time observers can remember, even those that were even a lot of people that were present in Bugaria earlier in the qualifying campaign and have experienced it elsewhere. This was the night when protocol was put to the test, almost to the ultimate point that we would have seen an international football match abandoned because of racism. Some would argue a point England Gareth Southgate acknowledged that England's players could have made the ultimate statement by walking off the field, and who could blame him? But then again, there's a counter-argument that hands some sort of a twisted victory to the abusers. That is true. Tyrone Mings, who had a superb England debut, in fact won the JB Man of the Match award last night, in trying personal circumstances, sounded the first notable alarm with a glance over his shoulder after playing a pass, a clear rebuke to the section of Bulgarian support alongside one side of the arena. And then the announcement made it clear that the game would be abandoned. Now it appears the willingness, determination, level-headedness of the England players has ensured the game that it was finished, aided by belated action by the stadium authorities. The protocol, such as it was, worked. England players were offered the option of walking off, but unanimously decided to see it through to an outstanding victory and a fine reflection on their character and attitude. Now I'm going to have my say, and people might, and I'm sure about 95% of you are going to agree with me on this. 99.9% of you are going to agree on this and my views on racism, and I'm also going to hit on the comment section last night because there was one or two unsavory incidents on that too, because I need to hit on that as well. I have been commentating on this YouTube channel for nearly 4 years, right? 4 years, and never, ever have I ever seen such abuse given to English footballers. We've covered England now, 20 odd England internationals on this YouTube channel, audio commentaries and that. And never in that time have we seen anything as bad as this. And it's terrible, really. This is what I think UEFA should do, and FIFA if they're watching. I think they should be expelled from the competition. I think they should also be expelled from qualifications for the next World Cup, because this has to be a deterrent for any country or any football club or any country or any football nation that is involved with racism or supporters are involved with racism in any way, shape or form. This needs to be nipped in the bud. They need stiff sentences. It's all right giving them £25,000 fines and making them play games behind closed doors, but that's not going to deter it. What's going to deter it is if they expel teams that misbehave, like Bulgaria, from international competition, from the World Cup, from the European Championships. That could be the positive, most ideal solution to do for this to go forward, because it's a disgrace that in the 21st century world, that in a multicultural society that we all live in around the world, that racism is still a big issue, and it shouldn't be. I thought football had got away from all this. I mean, I know here in England that we've done a lot to kick the racism out of football, and that's great. But there has to be far greater sentences. Now, I'm not trying to pick on Bulgaria or anyone like that, but having seen what I've seen and what I've heard, there has to be a deterrent. There has to be a way that this never ever happens again, because let's face it, last night was just purely and simply unacceptable. We saw the unacceptable face of football last night, and I think if UEFA and FIFA are looking in on this, they should be looking at the stiffest possible sentences, and I think the Bulgarians should be thrown out the European Championship qualifiers and should be thrown out the qualifiers for the next World Cup, just as punishment for what happened last night and the 2 games before that, because there was a lot of trouble in those 2 games as well. And as for my comment section, there was a couple of unsavoury comments which was deleted on Player to Say, and I'm not going to name individuals, but there will be no during a game of football which carries football commentary. I do not want to see any political statements made on the game during the match, or any swear words or any derogatory comments about certain members of society. I've had it up to here. You know, it's in a minority. Now, I put the comment section for you guys to enjoy, and 99.9% of you do. And it's great, and you do it right, and you keep to the rules, and you do everything. I'm not going to go through all that again. I've done 3 videos. You can find them on my YouTube channel, and you'll find out what the rules are. But there's always that 0.1% who have to spoil it for the rest of us, and I'm sad about that. Now, if this happens again for any other match, then I will have no option but to take the comment section down. This is not fair on the other people that, you know, take part in these comments. There are some people that tune in who are 9 years old, for heaven's sake. You know, I'm trying to make my show a family show. It's not right. So please respect everyone's wishes, and please respect other people and what they want to hear. It's not there to make the comment section is not there to make political statements, or is it to slate other members of other racial or to incite any other bad behaviour. It's there to talk about the football match that we're covering that night or that day, for you to debate over in a good-natured way, and also to choose man in a match and all that sort of thing. That's why we have it there. But if the comment section is still being abused by certain members by a certain minority, then I'll have no option but to take it down, and that's not fair on the rest of the good guys. And everyone knows who they are, the good people that use it. You know, just remember, we are a family program. I just want to make that emphatically clear. Well, that's my stance on that. It's really sad times for football. And let's hope on Saturday and Sunday and Monday we'll be talking about football and not anything that's off the pitch, because the Premier League is back, and we'll hopefully have at least 2, possibly 3 games for you to mull over with full match commentaries. Hopefully Saturday, Sunday and Monday for you. We'll let you know which games they're going to be and confirm everything for you. But in the meantime, have a fantastic evening, have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you at the weekend. From me, JB, take care, and I'll see you soon. Good night.